Welcome to your first issue of Photography Tips and Tricks. Inside each issue of Photography Tips and Tricks you will learn valuable tips, tricks and information on how you can take great photos that you will be proud to show off. In today's issue we are going to go through some quick tips that you can use to create beautiful photography of your own. Photography is much more than just taking pictures of things. It is an art form and can help us remember some of our most treasured memories. However, few people actually take the time to wait for that gorgeous shot and may doubt their ability to do it effectively. This article contains some great tips for improving your photography skills and capturing beautiful photographs that will be appreciated by many. One of the most common photography mistakes is people not taking the time to truly understand their camera. If you have a decent digital camera, it comes armed with many features that can be used to enhance the quality of your photographs, such as different light settings or flash speeds. You've probably often heard that using your flash outdoors is unnecessary to take great pictures. Wrong. Unless there is very bright sunlight outside, you should still be regularly using your flash. Even on cloudy days, picture quality can become compromised by not using a good outdoor flash setting. Many people are quick to jump at photo opportunities and just take any old picture. However, the secret to great photography lies in taking the time and having the patience to wait for the perfect shot to come along. If you are photographing still items, set them up exactly how you want them before taking your first shots. If your subject is on the move, take multiple shots with a rapid picture camera to ensure you get the best picture possible. Our first inclination is to snap pictures of objects that are centered in the camera's lens, but taking off-center pictures can be a great way to spice up your photographs. Taking a picture of a subject that is off-centered in the photo adds an interesting element people may not expect to usually see and can get your photographs noticed. When photographing people, always make sure to avoid direct sunlight in the background of the photo. This will make odd shadows and add an undesirable element to the picture. Position the people so the sun is to the side, but not shining directly in their face either. This will cause the subjects of your photograph to be squinting uncontrollably. Pictures that have multiple subjects or a busy foreground can highly benefit from a simple background to keep attention directed toward your subjects. However, if a simple background isn't available, many cameras can be focused to the foreground. This will cause the background to become more subtle and blurry, thus eliminating a busy background setting. If your camera has a macro photography feature, use it. The macro feature has the ability to focus in on very tiny subjects close up and is a great way to portray a lot of detail on a very small area. Things like small insects will immediately come to life with the use of this feature and will help you get great shots of the smaller things in life. As you can see, photography takes patience and skill, but with a little practice you will be able to get great shots every time. By utilizing the ideas presented in this article, you will be able to spice up your photography, add detail and variety to your shots, and create lasting memories through the art of photography. In the last issue we talked about quick tips for creating beautiful photography. In this issue we are going to go over the basics of photography, a little refresher. If you are a sports fan, you know what it means when a team goes into a rebuilding year. It is just when the owners or coaches decide it's time to train new members and correct bad habits in others. And invariably, what team leadership says when they go into such a time is that they are going back to basics. Sometimes it's good for us as photographers to go back to basics. And, of course, if you are just getting started in the world of photography and want to learn the ropes, the basics are a natural start. But you want the basics of what the professionals know about the craft of photography. Anybody can take a picture. I attended a wedding reception where the wedding party left a disposable digital camera on each table at the reception for guests to snap photos. Before the evening was over, it was the children who were running around taking pictures of everything from the dirty dishes to their own underwear. These were not photographers, and while those pictures will no doubt get a few chuckles, these are not the kind of professional pictures people want for their long-term memories. Obviously, the cornerstone of the basics of photography is the camera. When you see a camera geek walking around with enough equipment on his neck to launch a space shuttle, you get the impression that cameras are phenomenally complex, more than mere mortals can grasp. But look at the professionals and you see them working with portable, relatively easy to operate cameras. That is because the basics of running a camera come down to aperture and shutter speed. Now don't get nervous about fancy terms. Aperture is just a term for how wide your camera lens is open to let in light. And shutter speed is just how long you let the light come in to affect the picture. For getting a shot of a fast-moving event, you want a wide aperture to let in a lot of light but a short shutter speed so you capture the event quickly and close the window so the picture is caught before more light hurts the quality. Photography is really all about light. You can and will learn a lot about lenses and flash photography and other ways to turn the control over the lighting of a shot to you. So add to your core skills of photography a willingness to never stop learning. The better and more sophisticated you get in your ability to work with the equipment, the more you will learn and the more you will want to learn. You can get a greater control over these basic controls of the camera, such as aperture and shutter speed, by learning how to switch from automatic settings to manual settings. The automatic settings of any camera are just there for the general public who are not interested in learning the basics. So they give you some basic settings like landscape, portrait and sports settings. By switching to manual, you can learn what settings work best in different situations. And that takes us to the most important basic about becoming a great photographer, and that is practice. Take some time with your equipment and play with it. Take it to situations and take photos with different aperture and shutter speed settings, in outdoor and indoor settings and different orientations to light. Don't get upset when some shots don't work. That's part of the learning curve. By learning by doing, you will build your confidence in your work and eventually become a great photographer. But don't get cocky, there is always more to learn. And that is one of the fun things about photography, isn't it? Photography requires a few skills to make your prints look professional. One part of making a print professional is lighting. Lighting in photography takes a little planning and understanding of a few techniques. Your best subject or object might not turn out that way if the proper light does not help to laminate the area. Below are a few tips on using light for photography. First, you must decide if you will use artificial or sunlight. If you are using sunlight, you will rely on the Kelvin scale to determine the temperature of light and therefore the color of light. The color of light is important to maintaining the colors you see around you. For instance, the warmer the light, the redder the light will be, thus you may need to pick the time you will go out and shoot photographs. Outdoor lighting offers so many different times to take pictures depending on your need. Next, a photographer needs to understand the sun's color scale. Pictures tend to lead the viewer towards certain feelings, often softer colors evoke more emotion. So understanding the sun's impact on the colors will help you find the correct time of day. The sun evokes blue hues in the morning hours, while closer to noon you will find more neutral colors. The neutral colors can take away some of the definition you want in your print. Knowing how you want to shot the picture will also help you determine when you wish to take the shot. When using natural light, you will need to work with the angle and direction of the sunlight. If the sunlight is broad and diffused, you will have softer shadows, while the more narrow the light is focused, the more shadow you can create. Often at noon, when the sun is in mid-arc, you lose definition of the subject. The subject could look grainy. This is why shadow is used. The shadows can give you more quality to the print if used correctly. This adds to the beauty of your pictures. You can also modify sunlight through certain techniques. Modifying sunlight when taking portraits outdoors requires the use of a background. You may wish for a breathtaking landscape that will provide more composition to the photo. You may need to block the sun if it interferes with you or your subject's sight. You might also bring in a white surface to fill the shadows. Landscape photography requires less work than usually natural light for portraits. In fact, using natural sunlight for landscape photography without modifications can yield you a better photograph. Landscape photography uses nature to provide the light and shadows. This is why you need to understand the light scale and temperature. Time is the most important aspect of using sunlight. To understand natural lighting, you need to understand the effects the sun will have at certain times of the day. For instance, if you are in a thickly vegetative forest, the sunlight will have difficulty streaming in unless it is overhead. You will have natural shadows in the forest, and remember, you can move around your subject to find the best angle with the sun. Photography is an art that requires techniques and practice. Lighting is a major part of photography, especially when you are using natural light. Sunlight can bring plenty of shadows or take them away depending on the time of day. Knowing the best time to take a photograph depends on the sun's angle. Photography is an interesting hobby and profession. When practiced properly, will give you plenty of prints for your home and others. Whether you are a professional or a novice photographer, you want to produce some exquisite pictures with the proper lighting. With this in mind, choose your lighting according to your needs and the needs of your subject or object. Your pictures will be delightful with brightness when you use the best lighting situation. Your wedding album will be one of the most precious memories of this big day that you will have. But have you ever noticed how so many of those professional pictures are all the same from wedding album to wedding album? In fact, one thing that jumps out about the wedding photographer is that for a little while on the wedding day, everything halts and it's all about him. You know the drill. The ceremony is exciting and fun and full of joy, some tears and plenty of meaning as the bride and groom kiss and become one family. Then it's all over and everybody files out to go to the reception to dance, have cake and celebrate this union. But wait, the whole proceeding has to grind to a halt while the photographer stages the wedding party for as long as an hour or more to recreate the ceremony and make those perfect wedding photos. Meanwhile, the reception may be getting underway and many of the guests that the bride or the groom or others in the family want to hug and share the joy with may have to go because they just can't wait out a fussy photographer. Somehow this complete disruption to the day has become accepted as just part of what the wedding day is all about. And the worst part about it is that the photographs, while nice and well staged, look like a bunch of mannequins being arranged for a store window. The joy and fun of the ceremony is over. For decades to come everybody will say they are beautiful and meaningful, but if you look closely the wedding party looks nervous, uncomfortable, bored and like they wish they were somewhere else. Well, maybe it's time to throw that tradition out and put some creativity into how the wedding photos and the wedding photographer works in your wedding. By finding a photographer who will put together some wedding pictures that have some style, some creativity and some sense of inventiveness, you will have that wedding album that really is full of memories worth remembering. To get that kind of photographer, you are going to have to start early. You have to find that maverick photographer that gets it, that the wedding is about the people, not the gowns and the hall, and that his photographs must shout out, "This was a wonderful day and we celebrated this union." You may have to look outside of the conventional wedding photographers listing in the phone book. An artistic photographer may be more appropriate. But be patient and find one that is just as professional as any photographer in that yellow pages, but can bring some creativity and investment of getting to know this wedding party to the job of taking your important wedding pictures. That wedding photographer should become as much a part of the wedding party as the groomsman. After all, if he is going to capture the personality of this couple, he will have to get to know you. Spend some informal time with him and share those fun memories of when you met, those special times while you dated, and certainly those very special places where important moments in your relationship took place. Armed with that kind of creative individual in charge of your wedding photographs, you will look forward with great anticipation to what he comes up with. Many of the best shots will be created before the wedding, at some of those special places, and he can Photoshop them to blend them with wedding day moments. Above all, that wedding photographer will understand that he is there to serve this wedding and capture those special moments as they occur. Sure, you may pose for a picture from time to time, but this whole business of bringing the wedding day to a grinding halt to take stilted pictures of bored wedding party members will go out with the trash. The outcome will be wedding pictures with style, with life and a lot of love in them to reflect the love that was exchanged in those vows and the love of family and friends as they enjoyed this magical day with you.